Welcome to the Not Superheroes, Just Dads podcast. No, we can't fly. No, we can't shoot lasers or pick up giant buildings. But what we can do is help set the foundations for our families, be presents for our kids, and combat generational cycles. On this podcast, we dive into everything dad related, from the struggles we deal with as fathers to what our favorite thing to barbecue is. Hello, I am Sean Laurie, and today, y'all, I'm hyped to have one of my good friends, my brother from another
Yeah,
mother.
yeah,
I really look at him as family. Amazing father. Shoot, Daniel could be a pastor, rapper, husband,
yeah,
does it
yeah,
all, man. How you doing, my
yeah.
guy Jason? How you doing, man?
Sean, I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me on the pod. I'm
Yes, sir.
excited, ready to get into it, brother. But thank you, man.
I love it, man. I love it. So what I like to do icebreakers. Okay.
Okay.
So since you a music head, right? You a
Yes,
music head.
yes, yes.
So if you're forced to, you're
Hmm.
absolutely forced to.
Hmm.
What current current female rapper
Yeah.
could you
Oh,
let could you let your oldest daughter listen to for a whole week?
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's easy. That's an easy one. Cause I already recommend Lauren Hill, the GOAT.
I say
You know.
current.
Ah. So
I
so
did that
she
on
prefers
purpose.
so because she's currently performing but not like actually putting out music.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
man, I would say Rhapsody for sure.
Okay,
Oh
okay.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Layla's Wisdom, her last album, I got off of it. Rhapsody, I love artists that are, they have the substance. Their content is
Yeah,
appropriate, and they really take their art seriously. And that's Rhapsody, man. She's a real lyricist and very
yeah,
thoughtful in what she puts out. And also just from um, um, she's beginning to put out more music. Hasn't put out more music, a lot of music lately. But Jackie
yeah.
Hill Perry, you know,
She just
she's one
dropped
of
one,
my
I think.
favorites.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She dropped a song, but I'm looking for the album. You know what I
Okay,
mean? But
okay. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Jackie Hill Perry, her content is definitely more in line with my worldview. But she's
Yeah,
a lyricist as well that
yeah.
takes her craft seriously. So yeah, those two, Rhapsody, Jackie Hill Perry, definitely,
Okay,
man.
okay,
Hmm.
okay. No, I see.
Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. No way, brother. No way, brother.
um, but today, y'all, I want to talk about something that I think is something we all could probably do better with, or even sometimes struggle with, and that's with
Mhm.
when it comes to social media, right? The
Yeah.
impact that social media has, and so that's why I'm excited to have you on today, Jason, because it's
Yeah.
something I feel like we're all trying to perfect our craft, but you have a good handle when it comes to
Yeah.
social media. So, real quick, y'all, like Jason, like I say, he's been doing music for a long time. Kind of
Mhm.
stepped back a little bit, was on social media and different things like that. But you haven't really been active on social media for like a year or two, right?
Yes, man. It's about to be 2.5 years
Two and a
of
half years.
yes, of not being on social media. And it
Sheesh.
depends on how you define social media, though.
Yeah, true.
Because just based on just the word in and of itself, I do go on YouTube, right?
Yes.
And some people call that a form of social media, but I'm strictly on there using YouTube as kind of like a network. Using YouTube the same way I use Netflix. Like I'm going there for to view content, not to really interact with anyone. But yeah, just the traditional social media like the Instagram, the TikTok, the
Yeah.
Facebook, the Snapchat, whatever it may be. I've definitely not engaged in those types of
Yeah.
platforms in over 2 years. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So you're only on YouTube when you're viewing my podcast
That
and
there you go. There you go. Yep. Yep. Yep.
no, but no. In all seriousness, though, bro. So just share with the audience, bro. The people listening
Mhm.
or watching. How did you get to that place? Like take us
Yeah.
from how you how maybe it started, or not all the
Hmm.
way from where it started, but a little bit before you took that break. What got you there, and
Hmm.
how you've been able to maintain it, if you don't mind.
Definitely. So it started just with just a realignment that was taking place in my life. As you mentioned, like the pastoralship, I was a pastor, and I resigned from that position in 2020, right? And it was literally right before COVID, and then COVID took place, and then that kind of shut the world down. But I was already kind of disengaging with so many different things because I was in a place of extreme anxiety, extreme depression, to the point to where I was on medication as well, and just I had physical health issues. I was dealing with extreme obesity. If you look at the BMI chart, I definitely was extreme obesity in that realm. It seemed as if everything was in disarray. As I begin to put the pieces together along with God, of course, just Him giving me direction, you know, it came to the social media. Like, I began to exercise. I began to disengage with media in general, like TV shows, binge watching, and movies or those types of things, and begin to read more books and just like, okay, how can I begin to set my life in order?
Mm.
And I would say as I did those continual self evaluations, on myself and my routine, because I was developing a routine for life. I looked on the iPhone, right, and anyone that has an iPhone, and maybe you could do this for Android. Who knows? I'm not a part of that world, you know. but I looked on the iPhone. You go into settings and you go to screen time, and in the screen time it shows you like your average usage, or your per day, per week,
Yeah.
per month on different apps. And when I saw that I was on Instagram like 4 hours a day, and there were other things that I was trying to accomplish in life, like I said, with my physical health and my mental health and so forth, I said, wow, I can't complain about not having time when I'm on social media this amount of time and I
Mm.
can't justify its usage. I'm not trying to run a business. I wasn't trying to market anything. You know what I mean? It was strictly just this it was in the category of pleasure and entertainment. And it's like, it was very excessive. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm using all of this time for my pleasure and my entertainment, 4 hours a day. And I'm just talking about Instagram. I was
Yeah.
on TikTok. I was on Facebook. I was on, all of them. But Instagram probably was my primary one. And I'm like, I can't afford. If you think about time as money, right?
Yeah.
And, you have your rent, that priority, or your mortgage, that priority that needs to be paid. And then you have, for instance, going out to eat,
Yeah.
Cheesecake Factory, BJ's. If you spend your rent money or your mortgage money at BJ's, you're considered an irresponsible adult.
Mm.
Flat out, we're not going to debate about it.
Yeah.
Simple and plain. I could
Yeah.
have had a place to stay, but I wanted to go and eat out every day of the week and spend 200 this day, 200 that day. Now I don't have
Yeah.
my rent money. Now I'm irresponsible. If we look at time as money, well, the things that you say you don't have time to do, when you see that you're actually allocating those funds, right, or that time to be on this platform for no reason that's redeeming at all,
Yeah.
well, I begin to make a long story short, I begin to feel irresponsible. I
Mm.
begin to feel irresponsible. I'm
Yeah.
not managing my time well because I have complaints on one end that I don't have enough time, and then I'm freely giving hours upon hours per week, per month to these platforms that were not serving me in any beneficial way.
Mm.
That's so that led me to that decision of, okay, yeah, how about I get off of this platform? And the last thing I'll say too is I read this book called Digital Minimalism,
Mm.
and I was beginning to look into just a minimalistic way of living. And as that book honed in on our digital use with devices and just engaging in the cyber world, that began to give me a new perspective as well on, wow,
Mm.
like this really isn't serving me. And I would be better served with cutting this out to make more time to do this and this. So it was
Mm.
kind of like a reprioritization of my life.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. Now, what would
Mm-hmm.
you say to? Because what you said, I understand. I even agree with a lot of it. Because personally,
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not big on social media, but I do use it for
Sure.
business and things like that, right? But
Sure.
what do you say to those that's like, well, Jason, you went to the extreme, 2.5 years. You can still post pictures of you and your
Yeah.
wife, you and the kids.
Sure.
It's a good way to connect with family, right? Because there is positive things that come with that, right? Now,
Hmm.
what would you say?
Hmm.
I knowing you, I know I know
Yeah.
certain way you probably gonna answer this, but what would you say? Like, hey,
Yeah.
this is a way for us to connect.
Yeah.
I can't DM you now, right? I was gonna DM
Yeah.
you on Facebook, on
Yeah.
Instagram. Like, what
Yeah.
you mean? Like, come on, Jason, you can post once a week. Like,
Sure.
what would you say to those people that would think that, right? Not even necessarily you,
Hmm.
just anyone that right, or they might try to be rational. Which again, there's nothing wrong with social media.
Yeah.
For y'all to understand, Jason's not saying that there's nothing wrong with it. He's just saying for him. But for those that's in the same space as you,
Hmm.
right,
Hmm.
and trying to do that, but there might be pushback in that aspect, or people listening that know you, like, hey, yeah, Jason, just get back on,
Hmm.
right? What would you say to that?
Yeah.
What would you
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
to those, man, when they're like,
Yeah.
Jason ain't gonna hurt you to post?
Yeah. Well, first off, let me correct you. I am saying social media is bad. Everyone get off of it, please. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. Uh, I will answer that, in a twofold manner. So
Okay.
what I would say to that person is, for one, everyone has to evaluate themselves, and you know, what your vices are and know what your capabilities are with engaging in any particular thing, right?
Mm,
And for myself, just on a personal level, I have problems with moderation. I have problems with moderation, so it's like, oh, I could get on there and post once a week, but for me, the once a week would turn into twice a week. Twice a week
yeah.
would turn into 3 times a week. 3 times a week would turn into 3 times a day. So maybe some of us have a proclivity towards just excessiveness in engaging in certain things like social media. So that's one thing I would
Yeah.
say, like, well, maybe you're good with it. Maybe I'm not, you
Yeah.
know, because we're all different. But but then the other thing I would say is one thing social media helped me to do was kind of, when you talk about mental health, it helped me to kind of really get to a place of peace, you
Mm,
know, because it enabled me to really set boundaries on how much of me I can give out. And I think that's applicable to everyone, right?
yeah.
Because we think that we are not finite beings, and we can maintain like multiple relationships, right?
Mm, yeah.
And even I'll make it even really, for whoever tunes into this, to really make it just get to the nitty gritty, just even in you and I relationship, as one of my best friends,
Yeah.
like how do I engage with, it could possibly be 100 people within a week, and then I haven't talked to one of my best friends because I'm
Mm,
I'm so consumed with engaging with people digitally,
yeah.
that I don't even hold those relationships at the level I hold you and I relationship, right?
Mm,
So
yeah.
for me, it was like, how can I be a better friend?
Mm,
How can I be a better husband, a better father? I can't give myself to everyone. What if I just gave myself to the people, that are most important to me first? And if I have time, engage with those who are outside of that sphere. I've been
mm,
I've been in that place of reevaluating, should I get back on social media, for 2.5 years. And
yeah.
I haven't come to the place to say, you know what, it's time. I do need more interaction. I don't. So
Mm,
it's like, I'm still not against it if I ever felt the need, like, you know what, I think I really do need to get back on there for
yeah.
such and such. I haven't found that need, you
Mm,
know. Yeah, I haven't found that need. And my relationships haven't suffered because of that. My
mm.
real relationships have benefited because of that.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes, I like that, and knowing
Yeah,
you too, right? Like, where
yeah,
people you text and stuff, but you're similar to me, where
hmm,
you like the interaction over the phone, be the
yeah,
talk, things
yeah,
like that, right? Which is crazy how it sounds, but like I feel like that's rare now, right? Where
true.
A lot of times we don't even want to have real conversations anymore.
Hmm.
So that's dope, bro. But I wanted to ask you because you even said with the
Hmm.
even the mental health and things like that. What are some potential you think like? Well, I guess two questions. One are what's some of the negative effects you've seen from social media, either from others or for yourself? I think you
Hmm.
tapped into it a little bit. And then, do you think
Hmm.
in particular, is there a certain age group or a demographic that is impacted a little bit more than
Hmm.
on social media, or you just feel like everyone overall can be impacted by it?
So some of the um, negative effects of social media, which I believe, and I've seen it. And here's another thing, like, don't take my word for it. If anybody just do a quick Google search,
Yeah.
on the negative impacts of social media, so many things will come up, like addiction.
Mm,
And here's the reason why. We live in an age to where we consume things that have not been tested. And like, let's look at our food, and then I'll get back to this. Like, they allow things in America. I've had the privilege to go outside of America just a few times, right? And they
hmm.
allow things like the FDA allows things in our food that we have not fully tested yet. We don't
Mm,
know the effects of the long term usage of these particular things, the long term consumption, rather, of these
yeah.
particular things. So we're taking a risk. We don't even know how it's going to affect us in the long run. That's why people have, and I'm a philosopher. That's the title I give myself, just in the basics of it, just to really sit and think about life and think about the world. Like, when people talk about GMOs, and I'll get back to social media, when people
Yeah.
talk about GMOs, genetically modified organisms, right? Um, what we're talking about is something that's been created with the idea that it's going to help many people, because now this could end world hunger if we can
Mm,
create food in the lab. And maybe it's the best idea that can possibly, have been had by anyone,
yeah. Yeah.
um, or maybe it's not. We don't know. And, as I said, we're consuming things that are genetically modified, and we don't know how that's going to affect our body, 50 years from now.
Yeah.
We don't know. To me, the way the negative effects, and I'll get to those, of social media is applicable to both old and young, is because we don't know. We don't
Mm,
know the effects of, just this scrolling, this scrolling. You know, I like to read a lot, but there's multiple articles you can pull up. Like I said, Digital Minimalism is one of the books that kind of goes into this topic, and there's so many others. But it's also documentaries, documentaries on Netflix, like The Social Network, I believe it was called. That documentary. Also, I can't remember the other one, but it talked about Cambridge Analytica, um, and how they utilize social media in a nefarious way to basically change the results of, like, the 2016 election, and even in the 2020 election, and basically how it's being used in these negative ways. But one of the psychological elements of social media is like dopamine boost, right?
yeah.
So whenever dopamine is boosted, and that's just that hormone, in our brains that
Hmm.
makes us feel good, makes us feel a little better,
Yeah.
and that same hormone is affected when we exercise, you know, it's increased. That's why exercise can increase our mood. And that
Yeah.
same hormone is exasperated with drugs like heroin, you
Mm,
know, you talk about a dopamine boost, you know what I mean? Like, heroin is going to do it for you. Well,
yeah.
like, studies have shown that every time someone is scrolling and they see something that they like, that's one effect of dopamine,
Yeah.
and every time you get a like on a post that you post, and you get, let's say you get 100 likes, let's say you super popular, and you get, 1,000 likes on something you post, it's just like the dopamine is increased, you know what I mean? All of these things are basically not changing the algorithm only on the digital platforms, but changing our internal algorithm in our mind, you
Mm,
know, and
yeah.
and causing this addiction to the thing, because what causes us to be addicted to things is when our bodies become chemically dependent upon it, or through behavioral dependence of like, I really feel good when I do this thing. When I eat sugar, when I eat ice cream, or when I overeat in general, I really feel good. That leads to gluttony because now I'm addicted to food. You know what I mean? Or it leads to abuse of drugs, Adderall, Norco, all of these drugs because it creates this addiction. The same thing with social media. You know, people get addicted, and this is so much studies that are coming out about this, but people get addicted because I don't get this feeling from anywhere else. So even though it's disrupting my life here and here, even though I'm not as present with my kids here
Mhm.
and here, or with my wife, or even as though it's affecting my productivity on my job or on my business, I could be making more money. You know what I mean? If I wasn't addicted to this, even though we see these negative effects, I'm still going to do it. But that's when the toxicity of it all is exposed because I'm
Mhm.
willing to do this, even though I see how dangerous it is. I think that answered your question.
No.
And I don't see that being a distinction between like I honestly know people in their 60s that struggle with social media addiction. And of course I know children, as young as elementary age that I know personally, won't call any names, that I know
Yeah.
personally has struggled with social media addiction. So, you know, of course, we can talk about the bullying that takes place with, adolescent age children or whatnot, but I think there's negative ramifications on the old, the middle, the young, everyone, man, everyone,
Mm.
man.
No, I like that, bro. I agree too with you, right, with that, and
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll get your thought on this because I agree. I think it affects everyone differently, right? It affects there is no necessary particular, I guess, demographic. Well, no, I'll take that back. To me, I do
Mm-hmm.
feel like the younger generation is going to have a harder time because for us,
Mm-hmm.
we know what life was like before social media, right?
So true, so true.
Um, so we know how to balance that. We know how, for us growing up, right? You had to actually approach the girl you liked, right?
Yep, yep, yep.
And and build that confidence. And then if she denies you, then you have to do the walk of shame type of thing, right?
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
where now you can be you can hit up Beyonce, right? You can just
yeah.
literally hit her up. She don't respond. Oh, okay, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I've even seen it, with my oldest, right? I remember when
Mm-hmm.
she was dating at the time.
Mm-hmm.
She had her man now, but when she was dating at the
Mm-hmm.
time, there was times when they go back and forth, and she's, oh yeah, look, I let them on scene, right? Or I like, and I'm like, oh, like okay, like right,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where now before I'm gonna have to approach you, and then you're gonna have to reject me in part. You know what I mean? Like it
Oh yeah.
sounds
Oh yeah.
messed up, but I feel like that also builds character. That also helped us to be able
Definitely.
to handle disappointment, right? Where I
Yes.
feel like this generation,
Mm-hmm.
younger generation can't. Where like you said, those likes mean something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what? I see it all the time. Where especially the younger generation, they'll have an Instagram. They'll have, well, no, more so Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
or even TikTok, I guess. They'll have all these followers and people that they're following. They'll post nothing, right? They'll post nothing. And to
Yeah.
me, in my opinion, I could be wrong. I feel like they do that because they get disappointed, right? Like, oh, if I don't
Mm.
have these many likes, like
Yep.
I've seen it plenty of times. They'll post a picture. That
Yeah.
picture might be up there for an hour. They don't
Yep.
get as many likes. They
Yep.
want, oh, delete. Like, what? Right? And it could be an
Yeah.
amazing picture, but
Yeah.
you know what? I only got 25 likes. I didn't get
Yeah.
200 likes.
Yep.
Right? And
Yep.
so, like you said, now all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
your validation, right? You all of a sudden feel worthy or valued by those likes. So that's something definitely
Yeah.
we have to be cautious of,
Mm-hmm.
especially as parents, right? As
Mm-hmm.
fathers, to make sure that their identity isn't and it isn't connected with social media. Now,
Yeah.
with that being said, bro, I want to ask you too, as a
Mm-hmm.
man,
Mm-hmm.
as a father, as a husband,
Yeah.
um, what is some of those things that you uh, realize that maybe like has helped you? Maybe you struggle with it now; it has helped you. So, for example, with me, right,
Mm-hmm.
it could be, oh, maybe self esteem. Oh, shoot, this dude working out. He, look at him. He's doing his thing. Or, oh man, this child got straight A's. Or this child is an amazing soccer player. My child is playing soccer, and they're
Mm-hmm.
not there yet. Or or oh man, this baddie over here, right? Like, oh my gosh, why my lady can't look like that? Why my lady can't act like this? At least for
Yeah.
me, those are things that I caught myself, and that's why I've been doing better as far as not being on social media as much. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely try to cut off Twitter, well X now I guess as they call it, because
Mm-hmm.
when Elon Musk took over, it
Mm-hmm.
basically might as well be porn. That's what it basically is now at this point. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
literally, like right, like you could be like, and I
yeah.
like my sports, um, and it'll be something just with sports related. I don't know, whatever. LeBron
Mm-hmm.
scored X amount of points,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be
Mm-hmm.
looking like at the comments, and then and regular comments. Yeah, LeBron's great. This and this. I'm scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
Then next thing I know, hey, can you score on me? And it's a pic of a chick. Like, wait, what? Like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
hold
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what's happening? Like,
Yeah.
so
Oh yeah.
um, I'm close to actually getting rid of it altogether. That app,
So.
just because of that. The
Mm-hmm.
only reason I still have it is because I like my sports, and it's like a way for me to know what's going on because I don't
Oh
watch
yeah.
the news. I've never been a news person, but
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out another way to go about it, just because it's starting to
Mm-hmm.
get too much. But I say all that. I know I just went on
Mm-hmm.
a whole
No, you're
spill right
good.
there, but I say all that, bro, to just say for you
Mm-hmm.
as a father, as a man, was
Mm-hmm.
there any of those things that I just share with
Mm-hmm.
that you might have struggled with? Maybe you have certain thoughts about yourself as a man or a father or a husband or anything like that.
100%. 100%. That's another negative effect of social media, which is you touched on it, but just the comparison, right? The comparison game of everybody's posting their highlight reel, right?
Yeah,
Of their life. Not many people are posting um, just like actual day-to-day life of the mundane tasks. It's always like, what's the best thing that happened today, or what's the thing that'll make me look the best in everyone's eyes. I'll post that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Rather than you know uh, 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 myself sitting on a couch needing to work out and struggling and just deciding to eat some ice cream instead of working out, feeling terrible, and that was the day. No one posts that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That may be a part of a real showing, like I was like this and now I'm like this, like, you know what I mean? But they're never just posting the failure, So when all you see is the success and you never get the full context of someone else's life, you can, begin to compare yourself to other people. And I definitely did that, comparing myself to other fathers, comparing myself to
Mm,
other uh, uh, um, husbands and other employees, other business owners, just whatever it may be, is comparison. And my thing is, it's like, I really don't have to play this game. So,
mm,
so why am I doing it? And some may say, well, you just got to be mentally strong. You weren't mentally strong. You're right. So I got off. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not running from anything. And even the other part that you said about just promiscuity that's highlighted and just flaunted on social media, or pornography just in general. I definitely have been one in my life to struggle with pornography addiction, and social media did not help with that.
yeah,
And I don't, me coming from as me being a disciple of Jesus, Jesus says, if you look on a woman to lust, you've already committed adultery with her in your heart.
mm,
So for myself, it was more so in the place of like, okay, how am I viewing women? And is social media contributing to just the objectification of women in my mind? And I have daughters. Do I want to see women this way? No, I don't. So here's another reason to get off, especially if it's a gateway and it's, like you said, on X or these different platforms. If it's a gateway to engage in pornography, I want to flee from all youthful lust. I want to get away from things that are causing me to operate outside of my worldview, operate outside of how I want to live, So social media, it has its pros and cons. We're not going to say that it's all cons. It's not. You know what I
yeah,
mean? There are some pros. I believe just the initial idea with social media. I remember when Facebook first came out. It was a youngster that I was mentoring at the church. He was in college, and at that time, I believe Facebook was, you had to like have a .edu email to get into it. It was something I may be a little off on this. Your
Yeah.
listeners may fact check me, but it was something like you had to be a college student to be on Facebook. And it
Yeah.
was, and then MySpace existed, you know what I mean? And it's like the initial, and then it opened up to everyone. But the initial idea is like, how do we get people to connect with like family members that are long distant and, all of these types of things. And I feel like it started off um, just with a great idea, of how to connect, how to socially connect with people and just build relationships from afar. And yes, it's possible to do that on social media 100%. There's certain family members that I see in person, they'll say, yeah, so I work here now at the post office, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. They're like, what? I posted that on social media a year ago. How don't you know? I'm like, I haven't been on there, So
Yeah.
people, it fulfilled its initial idea, or their initial goal so much so that people begin to rely on that as a
Mm,
form of updating you on my life. When it's like you said, I prefer give me a call, send me a text. Let's not settle. I feel like now it's become just this idea of settling. You know
yeah.
what I mean? So in addition to um, 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 just increase objectification of women through pornography or just different misuses of it with nudity on X and those types of things. In addition to how it can create this like emotional dependency because I need to be validated and my self-esteem can only be boosted via this platform. In addition to those things, it really has served to like lower the quality of our friendships and relationships. So for me, I'm like, as you said earlier, like I remember life before this. How about I go back to that?
Mm,
And even as a father, like my kids don't have any social media, so all they're growing up the way I grew up. Like if I want to be someone's friend, I have to like call them and have a conversation or meet up with them and have a conversation. And I think that form of social engagement still is superior
yeah.
to only existing in a cyber world. And I until I'm proven otherwise, there's no data to suggest that what I'm saying is false.
Yeah.
So until I'm proven otherwise, I think you know this is the best way to conduct ourselves in our relationships, just on a face to face type of thing.
No, I agree, bro. And so I want to ask you then, what
Mm-hmm.
are some strategies then for someone
Mm-hmm.
maintaining a healthy relationship when it comes to social media, even though you're not on it,
Mm-hmm.
but what is
Mm-hmm.
maybe some strategies that could come with that? And then also like, what would you say, what would you give to someone that might feel overwhelmed when it comes to social media, especially,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, a lot of it is, I don't even want to say just strictly the young generation, because there's people our age that struggle with that too or feel overwhelmed
Yes.
because what you said as well, right? Where it's like I just said it. I told on
Mm-hmm.
myself when I said with X, I want to know what's going on with my
Yeah.
favorite sports, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm in a place in this season, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
even watching sports as much as I was. So
Yeah.
because I'm not, right,
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to go on social media and kind of see, oh shoot, okay, my favorite football player, did this, or
Yeah.
my team did this, whatever, right? So I could see
Mm-hmm.
that. So I feel like I'm quote unquote missing out on something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so I get that, but how would you feel? I guess the answer is more so.
Mm-hmm.
For what I said before is basically like maybe some healthy strategies, relationship strategies when it comes to social media, and
Mm-hmm.
then just basically for that someone that's feeling overwhelmed, bro. Like,
Yeah.
what would
Yeah.
you say for
Um, Answer is twofold again.
that? Hmm.
First off is boundaries. And like I
Hmm.
said, on the iPhone, and I know it's on an Android phone as well,
Yeah,
Android operating system. Um, on the iPhone, you have a screen time, right?
yeah.
And that screen time, you can literally set limits for each app, not just the social media apps.
Mm,
You can set limits for your email apps. That's something old that any youngsters tuning in probably don't know what an email is, but you can set time limits. Like I'm only going to be on here 30 minutes a day,
yeah,
or I'm only going to be here once a week. You can
yeah,
set time limits. And you can
Yeah.
even give a password to it, that you can give to someone else. Like I can give it to my wife. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Here's a time limit for that. So setting boundaries on how much of yourself you're going to give to it.
Mm.
Now for people like me, like I said, it's hard to set those boundaries because I would say this is self-diagnosing, but I think I have an addiction prone personality, or internal wiring. My internal wiring is prone to like being addictive to certain things,
Mm.
and like I said, because of the dopamine boost that comes from the various functions of social media, I think we all can be subjected to it being an addictive thing in our life. But setting boundaries is first and foremost, right?
Mhm.
But then the other thing, like I said, my answer was twofold. The other part I would say is disengagement.
Mm.
Disengagement. So, taking social media sabbaticals, if you will. Like, you know what? I've been on social media for 9 months. Let me take a month off and just see how I feel, and then I go back
Yeah.
and just kind of like a fast, if you will. Like, and maybe someone. Now, here's the thing. So this is what's crazy when it comes to like alcohol consumption, right? Everyone
Mhm.
agrees, like, have a glass of wine, even from a biblical perspective, like in moderation, once a week,
Yeah.
or every 2 days, who knows? It's totally fine. But can I not have this cup of wine, or this cup of vodka, whatever it may be, a martini at the restaurant? I don't know. Can I not have this? Can I go like 30 days without having it? Now, if the answer is no, well, then you may have a problem with that thing because you
Mm.
don't need it, but you can't go without it,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So to me, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Um, so then if we apply that same formula to social media, go 30 days without social media. I can't go 30 days. Why? You know what I mean? Like, if you say, well, I'm running a business and like my revenue is connected to this, we can have another conversation. But if it's just like, no, I just want to see what everyone's doing. Like, why? You
Mm.
know what I mean? Or like, no, I really just getting so much joy out of it. I don't want to go without that joy for 30 days. Like, so there's no other form of joy in your life.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it's like ask ourselves, like, the same measures that we use with other things like food and alcohol. Can you go 30 days without eating dessert? No. Well, you may have a food addiction, right? Can you go 30 days without, watching TV? You may have a TV addiction because we don't. I'm talking about things we don't need. I'm not talking about. I always tell my children there's a difference between a need and a want, you know. But if so, I'm not saying can you go 30 days without your needs? Like, why would I want to go 30 days without taking a shower? Like, you know what I mean? Like no one wants to smell that, you know. But can I go 30 days without these wants?
Yeah.
Of course we can. And if you can't, you have a problem. Possibly
Mm.
need to see a therapist. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
I
So
like
that's
that
that's
though
what I
too,
would
bro.
say. Boundaries and disengagement.
No, I like that too because of the fact that one is like you said, for you, you're able to
Mm-hmm.
be disciplined enough and
Mm-hmm.
and in a sense even humble yourself to say, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not strong enough to be able to say, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna be on social media here and there just because you're like, hey, one, the comparison game. Hey, you know what, that temptation to check out different things when it comes to these
Mm-hmm.
ladies or whatever, right?
Sure. Sure.
Which is such a key thing because I think
Mm-hmm.
especially people in general, but especially us as men, right? We
Mm-hmm.
get prideful, we get
Yeah.
things like that, and it might be one of those things. Hey, you know what? I
Mm-hmm.
go home, I work, I provide, I make sure the kids is good, man. Social media is my getaway. You know
Yep.
what? Who cares that I'm scrolling here and there? And
Yeah.
again, like you said, in certain instance, it doesn't have to be a negative thing. And maybe you're
Yeah.
not even on there like that. But
Yep.
if it's taken away from your family, if it's taken
Mm-hmm.
away from you being present with your kids,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It might be a problem, right? And you
Yeah.
have to be okay with that. Or if you're comparing, I've seen that too, where literally there's a few people where this person will post about their kid, and then
Mm-hmm.
literally the next day the next person's posting about, and it'll be the same type of post. That's the crazy part to me, right? Like I'm like, are you envy of this like it's weird, right?
Yeah,
Like
those internal
yes,
dynamics are very interesting because it becomes like a competition, and it's
yes,
all existing in this world that's outside of the real world.
yes, yes.
That's what it's like.
Or I've
Wow.
even seen it where, obviously with my stuff, what I'm doing with
Hmm.
fathers or families, different things like that, I'm posting something in
Hmm.
general, either something
Yes.
I'm dealing with, something that I've just seen, something I might have just helped someone with,
Hmm.
and I'll have family members or I'll have a friend hit me up like I was talking
Hmm.
about them. Whoa, no,
Oh,
right? And
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah,
funny how right, it's like
yeah. I get it.
how social media can also have you feeling some type of way internally that has nothing to do with you. So
Hmm.
if it can affect you in that way, imagine what, like you said, these other
Hmm.
posts that you don't have no connections with, right?
Yes.
Oh dang, this person, I remember them. I only met them once, but I remember they was working at McDonald's. Now they
Hmm.
work in corporate.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
shoot, and I'm not corporate yet. Like what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
so just different things like that. So I like the fact that you said
But
that, bro. Like
no,
for sure.
when you just the last thing you just said about just like someone hitting you up, like was that post about me? It's like the probability of the subliminal message. You know what I mean? Are actually the frequency of the subliminal message is completely like I wouldn't even say cut in half. It's probably like a 90% reduction if we just base that on our physical interactions.
Yeah.
Like it's hard for me to misinterpret people that I'm not even seeing or talking to.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, that's increased when people are posting. There's way more of a chance that I'm going to take something wrong if I have all of these extra, engagement points with a person or with people,
Yeah.
So when you get
Yeah.
on social media, you kind of decrease the risk of even misinterpreting someone else or even being misinterpreted yourself because I'm
Mm.
just not engaging with humans that much. You know what I mean? So it's like, once again, as I said earlier, gave the analogy of like time being like money. Like, can we afford, the increased, human engagement? Can we even afford it emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically? Can I even afford that?
Mm.
And if anybody's complaining about needing more time to do anything, forget about um, the negative effects we've talked about thus far. If you're complaining about not having enough time to do anything that's important to you, like I was, that's reason alone to get off social media. Even
Mm.
if you disagree with every other negative effect we talked about, just you not having enough time is presto changeo, voila, magic. You can get 5 hours a day back, just like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. No, that's true, bro. That's true. And so actually I have this question for you and then I'll
Mm-hmm.
get ready to wrap it up.
Sure.
But what so because we are talking about with social media and things like that. So how do you
Mm-hmm.
see, bro, how do you see the future of social media evolving in terms of the impact of mental health?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the reason why I asked that is because
Mm-hmm.
we have, was it? I think it's called the was it the metaverse or what's it called
Yeah.
the
The metaverse.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a big
Mm-hmm.
thing, and I know like, and it's crazy because and maybe people I don't know will call me conspiracy theory or say I need to have my the foil tin hat whatever, right? But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
certain
Yeah.
I feel like Hollywood always shows us certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, not all the time, but there's times they'll show us little things and we'll just play it off. Oh man, it's this or it's that, right? And so I forgot what I can't think of the show right now. It's on
Mm-hmm.
Amazon Prime, a great show. But
Yeah.
anyways, it's like the concept of the show is like it was like a virtual reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you end up going into like a whole nother world. You can feel everything, right? And they end up putting
Yeah.
like a chip in your brain and they're able to like um basically
Mm.
you just get consumed in a whole nother world, right? And so
Yep.
I know
Yep.
that's something they're kind of working on. They even have it where, which is a good thing, nothing wrong with
Mm-hmm.
that, where you're paralyzed or something, you can move things with your brain, right?
Yep.
But I
Neuralink.
know like they're expanding to a whole nother thing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, just like you said with social
Mm-hmm.
media started off as a great thing, and then of course, as people were selfish, we're greedy, we're trying to figure out different ways, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? Some people, not everyone, some people start abusing that and using it for other things that wasn't necessarily made for it, right? So
Hmm.
I say all that, bro, to say where do you see the future of social media evolving to, and then where do you think, or how do you think that was going to impact um, our mental health?
I'm gonna try to. You just. That's a great question. Great question, and you kind of like triggered um, just another philosophical, you know, thought pattern, that goes along with this whole topic.
Yeah.
And this is as we towards the end. If anybody's tuned in this long, they must be into the conversation, so we can go a little deeper. So
Oh
let's
yeah.
go a little deeper,
Yeah.
right? All right. So you know, it's two things that I want to touch on. One is capitalism,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the other is social engineering.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, capitalism, right? The way all of these social platforms make their money is through ads. You know, um, it's not as if we all are on a subscription, right? Like with Hulu and Netflix. The only way we can get to on their platform, they're behind the paywall. So we have to pay to get the content. No,
Mm-hmm.
I can download Facebook right now. Again, Instagram, TikTok. We can download it right now and start an account for free. Or pick up on my old accounts that I had. They're still there. They'll
Yeah.
never let you delete them. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You log in with that same email, no matter if it's 5 years later. They were like, "Welcome back." You know, so they're all free. So they're free, but then they're not free because they cost us so much. And I had a song that I wrote called Algorithm, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
song I said at the beginning, my mind is mine. My mind is mine. And that was kind of like taking my mind back from those that, kind of bought my mind, because it seems like social media is free, but it's not. It cost us our minds. And I say that in the sense of, there's so many bots on social media to where you think you're engaging with real people, but it's not even a real person. And
Mm-hmm.
don't even let me in on how Chat GPT or like artificial intelligence in and of itself, you know, is used through these bots, making the bots more intelligent so they can have conversations with you. And you're like, man, I really met this dope person that live in Germany on social media. And that's just one of the pros of social media. You can meet people in other countries and all of that. Whole time it's a bot, not even a real person that you think
Yeah.
you're engaging with.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like I said, when I talk about the capitalism and the social engineering, the capitalism is all of the money that's being put into it to make you want to buy things or to make you think you need things that you actually don't need. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Um, um, and I can go on a rabbit trail with that, but I won't. But it's so much marketing dollars. So for us to see something over and over, and as I'm scrolling for 4 hours a day, or even just an hour a day, I'm seeing the same thing over and over. And as these images are entering my eye gates, right? Now I'm I hate to say it, but I'm becoming a little bit brainwashed in a
Yeah.
sense that I need this thing. Why do I think I need it? Because I've seen it probably 5,000 times in one day or 1 week. Who
Yeah.
knows? It depends on what your social media is. If you see something in a positive light 5,000 times in one day, like your subconscious is going to begin to tell you, you need it. You need
Mm.
it. You need it. You need it. Because I saw it so many times.
Yeah.
So that's why the capitalism and the social engineering takes place, because it started just with you know, like Google. Google was the king of running ads and whatnot, even on YouTube. I pay for YouTube Premium, so I don't have to wait for the 5 seconds and skip and all of that. I don't really get ads, that much on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I wish they had that on TikTok. I don't know if they do, if you can pay to see no ads. But um, but when you think about all of the ads that you see, like it's like their dollars are going to a good cause from their business perspective, because it is making people buy. Anybody, I've had online businesses before.
Yeah.
If I pay for those ads, I am going to get increased sales. How much
Mm.
more if I have millions of dollars at my disposal to do such a thing? But then
Yeah.
I found out, like I said, when you do the research of Cambridge Analytica and different sources like that, that the government and other entities begin to see, like, oh wow, like social media really is helping to push people in a certain direction without them even knowing,
Yeah.
right? To where they're even using your DMs to create ads for you. So your direct messages that's supposed to be private, like the social, when you click I agree to these terms of usage, you're giving them permission to look in your DMs. So
Mm.
you think a conversation is private, but you're on there talking about like, man, hey man, I saw you post a video with a treadmill in your house, and like I really just want that treadmill, dude. Like, where'd you get it from? Da da da. And you're in a private conversation. Next thing you know, you start seeing ads for treadmills because it read your private conversations. How much
Yeah.
more so when election time comes? We're in an election year. All of this, what I'm saying, isn't even conspiracy. It's fact. It's
Yeah.
happened. They used it in 2016. They used it in 2020. Like it's a fact.
Yeah.
And anybody want to, have any of your listeners reach out to you and connect them with me, and I'll
Yeah.
send them. I'll send them numerous credible sources to
Yeah.
back all of this up.
Yeah.
But when you think about being in an election year and it's like, who do I vote for? And without even me getting into any type of political conversations, but if I'm constantly seeing one candidate in a positive light, and then social media says, oh, like, look, he likes this person. Let's send them more. Let's change the algorithm to send
Yeah.
them more, you know what I mean, content
Yeah.
from this person. Well, there you have it. I'm voting for them.
Yeah.
Why am I voting for them? Is it because of my own free will? Or have I
Mm.
been swayed
Yeah.
subconsciously through seeing images over and over? I'll stop there, but anybody that just heard what I just said, like, here's my challenge. You now have an obligation to decide what you're going to expose yourself to, how much you're going to expose yourself to it, and how that's going to like it's not a matter of will it influence you, it will. How much will you allow yourself to be influenced by A, B, or C? That's
Mm.
your choice. So to
Yeah.
me, just to kind of like bring some a conclusion to the matter, to me, it's really taking charge of your life. It's
Mm.
taking charge of who you want to be.
Yeah.
It's saying, I want to be a free thinker that, when I say I think about something, it's because I really think about it from my own opinion, not the opinions I've been exposed to by others. And I think
Mm.
that's what it means to just be, a free human,
Yeah.
a liberated being walking this earth. Like
Yeah.
I make up my own mind and I decide what I think about things. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. Yeah, I hope that answered.
No, yeah, no, that's a great answer, bro. Like, I mean, basically too, like you said, like it's definitely be mindful because social media is always going to constantly evolve, right?
Yeah,
So that's where we have to have those boundaries. That's where we have to have a better understanding. So I love the fact that you broke that down because
yeah,
it's going to help us as social media is going to keep evolving. As like I said, the metaverse, like you said, which is a whole another conversation for another day, where we can really that's a whole another thing, especially
man.
uh, um, my boy Jason, man. That's what I love about him, man. Is he's
Mhm.
the type of person, y'all. People say they research, they Google, they'll read the article. That's it. My boy Jason is the type that's gonna read the article, then see
Yeah,
who wrote it, and then look at their
yeah,
background, and then so
yeah,
he's doing
yeah.
real research. When he says research, again, if y'all have any pushback, let me know. He will definitely send me a bunch of different articles
One
that
hundred
that
percent.
that will state why he said what he said,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure. But I definitely, bro, I definitely appreciate your time with this, man. And
of
honestly, man,
course.
I definitely, you one of I'm not just saying this, but you one of my favorite people, man.
Yes.
Um,
Thank you,
just
brother.
seeing you and your journey, man, and
Yeah,
as a father, as a man, as a husband,
yeah,
is definitely inspiring for me.
yeah.
And I'm thankful for you, bro. I'm thankful for you hopping on.
Thank you, my
You definitely
brother.
don't have no
You as
social
well.
media, so I'm not going to tell you to plug anything. To plug anything, right? But
Yeah,
excuse me, but
yeah.
I'm just thankful, bro, for you hopping on, bro, and giving some of your
Yeah.
time,
Hey, thank you for having me, man. I love you, brother, and I appreciate you just for doing what you do, and staying consistent with this platform,
man.
using social media and just the internet in general, in a positive way,
Yeah,
to contribute to society in a positive way. I definitely commend you for that, man, and just admire the man that you are, and yeah, man, have me back. I'm ready to,
Definitely.
engage through, mediums like this,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah.
definitely.
So this is dope. This was dope.
Yeah, man. Maybe might get a little spicy, but
Yeah,
maybe around, I don't know,
yeah.
close to election time or something. We'll come we'll come up with some. I don't know. I
Ooh.
don't know.
Yeah,
We'll do something spicy like that.
yeah,
Um but yeah, y'all make sure y'all like, make sure y'all subscribe, tell a
yeah.
friend. Just let everyone know, man. I'm definitely excited, man. I'm thankful for the messages
Mhm.
and the feedback that I've been getting from everybody, y'all. And
Right.
remember,
Mhm.
you don't have to be perfect, but you always have to be present. I'll see you guys
Yeah,
on the
man.
next one.